All of us have our own dynamic of what it is to be sovereign free. And being in relationship conditioning can sometimes mar or hamper our ability to be our own authority. Now, any configuration between any two beings, regardless of what the dilemmas are, regardless of what this and that is, that relationship can function as a relationship of grace, as long as those two beings are operating correctly. So just because I'm telling you something that Ra knew to be true, remember to source inside of you. This is not about looking outside for somebody to tell you what to do. It's analysis, the beginnings of analysis. And the materials I'm going to be synthesizing for you are not only Ra's original trainings, but also just my experiential process of being a teacher and also being someone who is a geek when it comes to not just personally but professionally teaching at many layers and levels of the industry. We're going to be speaking particularly about relationship or partnership analysis for this next, however many long it takes to me to get through this material. So let's start back at the beginning. Here we go. When we're talking about relationship conditioning, we're really looking at two body graphs together. So that being said, it depends on not just the centers, which we're going to focus in on, but also the type of beings connecting. So depending on type, there is going to be a different kind of auric connectivity. That means there's 16 different pairings or partnership dynamics. Today we're just going to be focusing on centers, and then what happens when those centers come together? What are the relationship themes? So centers first, then relationship themes. When we're looking at these centers, white, you'll hear me say openness or undefined. And where definition is, to be technically correct in a body graph, is any permanent hardwiring from birth. So channels are defined, not simply gates, to be clear about the technicalities of identifying the language. Get everybody on the same page. So let's begin with the biggest bugaboo, the heart center. What happens when two people come together and that heart center is open? Oftentimes there's a place of having fun, and there's this relational dynamic between the two where they can learn wisdom about that place or that process of what it is to be in relational dynamic with each other. Now the heart center, as I said, it was the biggest bugaboo. It's because it's really quite conditioning to you if you have it open, like these two. When the heart center is open, this is about the willpower. It's about their egoism. Some people call it the ego. It's about the world of materialism, the world of self-worth or lack of self-worth, self-esteem, improving, what one has, what one achieves. So the not self theme here is a tendency to think that they have to prove themselves. So it being open means there's no pressure between the two in this relationship dynamic. They may yet still feel unworthy or undervalued. So the question is, do I think I have something to prove? Just an example, just a sample. So no conditioning on each other accordingly to the center. And when we look at the center within the context of the body graph, we can see a place for both of them to go out into the world together and learn about worth and worthiness and self-esteem and value and whether or not to prove something. It's just one of the natures of awareness that they can go both relate to each other upon. So the openness is not empty. It's potentially full of wisdom. To avoid the not self tendency, it is coming back to being one's own authority, however it is that that partnership is designed to be. Now, when we look at the emotional center, this emotional center coming together in this example, they're both open, But what happens is, in the relationship, we have definition, the illusion of, the temporary experience of, because remember, definition truly is the permanent hardwiring in the channels that creates the life force. Channels are the life force. So when we have an open solar plexus, they're both in this life learning about the wisdom of emotional or social or relational intelligence. And this solar plexus center stands for our moods, our romantic, potentially chemistry. It learns, or we learn when it's open there, about the feelings and desires, passion, need, romance, sex drive, food, pleasure. It's really this hunger for pleasure. And together we have the conditioning. So in the conditioning field, the not self theme is avoiding confrontation and truth. Lying, in other words. Avoiding something in order to prevent any potential backlash from the other. So the learning here is, are you avoiding confrontation and truth? Here, they are going to have to be confronted with certain inevitabilities, as in, there's no escaping that conditioning. Now, when we see the identity colored in, this is the G, we're looking at the capability of this couple learning about their role, either individually or, in this case, together. And because it's open, it means there's no mutual enforcement of a specific kind of conditioning in any particular direction. This is about love, direction. It's also about identity. So the not self or shadow state theme here is fixated on finding love and direction. So your question, are you looking for love and direction? Potentially. Are you looking for that compatibility? Is this my soulmate? As far as the relational dynamic. And you can see there's still openness here, maintaining that openness. So in that relational field, we don't have the specific conditioning of the identity. Therefore, one is not attempting to impose or impress their direction or identity on the other. They have a mutual relational dynamic, you can see, but there is no specific conditioning from that pairing on each other. Now, when we look at the splenic center, this is about your safety, security, well-being. This is the place where we have our physical awareness, the fears for our survival, our immune system. There's instincts and intuition and pattern recognition here. Really, recognition is a key. So in this relational dynamic, you can see they're both remaining open in this experience. So the not self theme is being rigid and inflexible and holding on to things that actually aren't good for you. And what you can do is ask yourself, am I holding on to something that isn't good for me? That's one of the awareness keys. Always these little questions I'm giving you is to help you go back to yourself and source into what is true as far as your process of authentically being you, following your decision-making process, your strategy, honoring your authority. So this particular couple, you can see the ajna center we're going to be focusing on. This is your conceptualization process for thoughts and answers, opinions, insights, ideas. The oppression and returning back into the fears, the mental anxieties that have a tendency to rise here. So what you can ask yourself is, there a tendency for arguments here, pretending that we're both certain of our way in which we're thinking as far as what we're processing, what we're moving towards when we move to the future. So Rather than arguing or pretending to be certain, you can ask yourself, are you trying to convince everyone that you are certain? The wisdom potential is knowing who out there is certain, or in this case, potentially what you're certain of together in that logical pattern framework of looking forward into the future. And here we have the head center. This head center is undefined in both, as well as in the relational dynamic together. And that head center is a pressure center, mental pressure center. It's about inspiration. There are 3 different ways in which this pressure can unfold. This couple has confusion and the why. The why as far as looking for the mystery or inspirational beauty. So when it comes to the question, what happens is trying to answer everybody else's questions or thinking about things that don't really matter to you, not personally, not really. And so asking yourself when you're lost in thought, losing focus, am I thinking about something that doesn't matter? Does this thing truly matter? Is it really inspirational? See these little hanging dormant gate activations? These are the things that these beings are learning about. What is truly inspirational? What's truly inspiring? It's one of their hooks into the world of mental pressure and inspiration. Now let's look at the other side of the body graph, the root pressure. This pressure, stress, this place of drive, ambition, adrenaline, potential, not always, but physical depression. You might have a concern about getting going, getting things off the ground and running. You can see that in their design, they're both open. So by the mutual conditioning, bringing forth the learning about that center, it's about wondering, being aware of, are you always in a hurry? Because this can be incredibly pressurizing when it's open. White, not fixed. Think flexible, think amplifying. Flexible and fluid, nice place to be. Amplifying, distorted, as in highly stressful or pressurizing here, that can be incredibly uncomfortable. So it'll make you want to hurry, rushing without a good reason. So you can ask yourself, are you in a hurry to be free of the pressure? Does being in that relational dynamic with that other pressurize you? See, these places that are open, you're learning to be wise inside of you. Not hurried, not worried. Being your own authority. It's truly a sweet place to be. Now this is a sacral center, that red square there. Anytime you see it colored in, you're looking at a generator being. It's the only center that creates a type, an auric frequency of the availability to respond. So you're looking at energy, and you can see that these are 2 non-sacral beings. Interestingly, they're both energy types. They're both manifested. So when they come together, there's still no consistency of the vital energy of the sacral center. It's that life force motor, this generator engine, this place of reproductivity, sexuality, fertility. So what happens is you may not know when enough is enough here. You get a little overzealous, overdoing, over-energized by the energy of the generator beings. And in this case, they don't condition each other in that way. So that's kind of freeing. It's nice to have a little opening in the relational dynamic. We'll talk about why that is in just a bit, once we get up through all the centers. And in this relational dynamic between these 2, we see the throat center as our focus. The throat itself is a place of communication. It's also manifestation, materialization. It's our contact with the external world, our outlet for expression, communication, energy, speaking, and also doing when it's connected up to energy. In this case, it's not. Do you see the openness, the whiteness? So you're looking at the wisdom potential of how to attract attention, and the not self of trying to attract attention being the center stage. So asking yourself if you're feeling uncomfortable. Am I just speaking without necessarily knowing why? Can we let go of talking when it's not appropriate or time? Can we wait for and in this case, they're both generative and spontaneous as far as the energy availability. So can we wait for right timing for communicating?